Good morning, so we've come out today. It's a glorious day. It's 36 degrees in the polytunnel, 11 degrees outside. I've got loads to do today and I really want to crack on. Let's go. So if you've noticed, I put this shelving system in the middle of the polytunnel. It's 8 shelves high and it's for all those plants that don't need to be in the forefront of all the sun. And also I ran out of space and I haven't even brought the tomatoes over yet, the chilies, the peppers, and all the things that I'm going to sow next for my autumn and winter harvests and crops. So this will be perfect for that I got extra now space for me to store things on before I plant out, and it won't be long, you know, a few more weeks and everything here will probably be outside in that glorious sun. Right, I've got jobs to do today. So I've had to fill up some of the bird feeder already since the last video, especially the fat balls at the back, but we're not talking about that now. We're talking about the next project, these 2 raised beds. So I can see that there is some perennial weeds, but I think this might be a gooseberry. So there's a gooseberry plant here that seemed to somehow planted itself. So I'm going to dig that up and I'll pop that on and we can use that somewhere else. But today I'm going to fill up these beds with all the bits of soil and the manure and then compost on the top that I've got and sort out this area, and then let's clear it up. So as you can see, as I start digging into this old compost heap that the previous owner had, there's some really good substance in here. So I'm happy that this can go in there. I actually think I've struck gold with this stuff because it's been rotting down for a while and it's really good stuff, and I think it's going to hold the moisture really well in this bed. I'll do a top dressing now of manure, a light one, and then some compost on the top, and this bed is ready to go. I'm over the moon that I've got this extra compost for free. These are absolutely perfect. The fact now that they've got that good dense layer of soil underneath that's been well rotting down there for years, some well rotted manure and then compost on the top. I think I'm going to plant out today. Let's get some plants. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd plant out some rocket, some lettuce, the cilantro, which is also called coriander, some red Florence onions, and also some ramrod and lilia spring onions. I thought this would be a nice little salad bed. I might need to net it now because I noticed the birds are coming to the bird feeder, which is fine, that's fine to do. So let's do some planting. It feels really good that I can actually plant out. It's the first one. So I've just put the compost in, so I don't need to use a trowel. I'm going to use these homemade trowels, and I think I'll start off by pouring some out. Some onions. Now these are the red Florence. They look lovely. They've got some good roots. And I'll pop these around here. So let me quickly get these in and then we'll do the next thing. Okay, so they're in. I think now I'm going to do a nice row of lettuce down here. So I think I'm going to do this one. These are looking lovely in this compost, I must admit. Let's take out the bigger ones, I think. Now make sure you do give good spacing because you don't want them overcrowding, competing for the food and the water, and also you don't want them knocking the onions and whatnot as well. Now I definitely will be netting these because a pigeon, as I was walking out, flew off the bird feeder, and that was a sign to me to say don't leave these lettuce uncovered. They'll be gone like that. So these are all the spares anyway, so I'm not really that worried about them, but obviously you don't want to plant them just for the fun of it. I picked the biggest ones out of the bunch to give them a good start. God, it feels good, right? Feels good to plant out. Next one I think we're going to do is some Lilia spring onions. Now I've shown you these before and they're a beautiful pinky purple spring onion. I'll split them in two, pop them in. Now I think I'm going to pop them in between the lettuces, so when I do another row of lettuce here now, it'll be dotted equally, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Do you know what, it feels so good knowing that I've got some more space in the polytunnel now, which I'm going to fill up again with some tomatoes in the next week. But for now, it's good to know that things are going in the beds. So one thing that I'm doing differently this year than I have done in previous years is I'm spacing my crops out over different areas. So if I have a failed crop here, at least on the grapevine garden, I've got an extra backup there. And I might have another bed somewhere else as well. So it just means that if I have a failed crop or something happens to this bed, I haven't destroyed the whole, the whole amount. So that's the plan anyway. Now I'm going to put the coriander on the end because that gets quite big and I don't want that flopping over and knocking all the rest of the crops. So take this out, split it a little bit because God, this stuff spreads. This bush is right out. It doesn't so much spread, but it goes pretty big in the bed. So this was a robin, and nice to have some. There we go. I'm going to have to get some more labels, I think, so that I make sure I know what everything is in this bed. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is put some nice rocket in. So it's almost the last of the spuds now, and I've got a few extra spare here, so I thought I may as well use them. I've got a few extra buckets with some manure in. I will top dress these with compost as well, but I can't remember what these are, so they will be mystery spuds. I'm sure they're Charlottes and Swift or maybe Rocket, but I pop these in, and then I think that's the last of the potatoes. I don't know, we shall see. Now I know I've already planted these Welsh onions and the perennial Bamington leeks, but in hindsight I thought these are going to be here for a while and they're right at the front of the plot. And I think this would be a better place for something else. So they haven't rooted much. So I'll pop these somewhere else at the back of the plot somewhere. And then I'll show you what I've got in mind here. So I figured that this area right at the front of the plot would be a nice place to put a nice teepee of sweet peas. So let's get that done. So I've got some hazelnut here that Mark didn't need on his plot. And I thought this would be a perfect place because as soon as you walk up that path, then you'll have that nice floral scent of sweet peas. Now the trick is you do want these to go in quite deep because it gets quite windy. Leave them about a foot apart, like so. Hazelnut is perfect for this. They grab onto it really well, and I just think it gives it more of a rustic look. If you've noticed, most of my plots use this now, and I just find it a lot better, and it's free as well, so it comes off the boundaries of all the plots, and yeah, it's better for it. I think it looks better, I think. So they're about a foot apart, and all I do is use some cable ties. Now some people say use some twine, but I've always found, as much as I'd love to do that, I've always found that the twine rots straight away, and with the wind up here it battles it, so let's try again. Woo. So just bunch them together, nice and tight. So now I'm going to use twine, because it doesn't matter if this rots off, because once the sweet pea establish, they'll intertwine with all this anyway, and they'll give it such a floral display. I'll show you now. So all you do is tie it to the bottom, go around weaving it, like so. Until you get to the top. So there you have it. Now I'll plant all the sweet pea at the bottom, and they'll climb up this and it'll look perfect. So this sweet pea is called Royal Mix. I sowed it on 16th of the 3rd, and it's desperately want to come out. I mean, those roots are aching. So give them a little tickle, plant them on the inside. It also protects them from the birds a bit as well. God, look at that. So this will climb and climb, and you'll be surprised how much these will bush out in the next week or so. I'm Danny, and this is the Grapevine Garden.